dinner, which is why you can't see me.
All right, everyone, we're live.
Okay, thank you. It's 6:14. We have a quorum. I'd like to call the Board of Education meeting for December, monthly meeting. I'd like to call it to order. I'm sorry we're late. We had an executive session that ran over. But thanks everyone for joining the meeting live. Let's first start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. It's the last board meeting of the year. And we're going to start off this evening with the recognition of our students. And so I'm going to hand it over to Superintendent Wallach to take it from here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pesco. It is so exciting to be able to recognize our students for their academic and athletic recognition. You may recall that we do this now twice a year in December and then at the end in June of the school year. And so it is with great pride that I turn this over to the principal of the high school, who will recognize the following academic achievements. And then we will move to our athletic director, who will go through some of the recognition for athletics. Ms. Gavoni, please.
Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight at the high school in recognizing Gabrielle Escandon. Gabrielle entered the Congressional Hispanic Heritage Essay Contest this fall in recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month, and he was one of 3 winners chosen from the state of Connecticut. He received a letter and certificate from Congressman Himes' office. So congratulations to sophomore Gabrielle Escandon. Moving on, we would also like to recognize this evening Mr. Timothy Bayo. Timothy was recognized as a College Board National Hispanic Recognition Scholar. So he was among top scorers as a junior on the PSAT, and again recognized nationally for his performance on that PSAT. So congratulations to Tim. And finally, for academics, we had 2 National Merit semifinalists at the high school this year. National Merit semifinalists are recognized for performance on the PSAT. So this would have been from last year's PSAT, and they are the highest scoring entrants in the state. Again, 2 from Weston High School this year. So congratulations to Mr. George Lord and Ms. Catherine Shea. And with that, Mr. Berkowitz.
Good evening, everybody. This is always an exciting night to get to recognize the amazing accomplishments of our athletes. And it was an amazing fall. It was one for the record books for sure. You'll hear about all of it as we go through. We'll start with the individual awards. We had many All-Staters this past fall, starting with boys cross country. And I don't believe that Casey Golick was able to make it tonight. So I will introduce Cooper Coppola. I didn't see Cooper. I scrolled through quickly, so I'm not sure if he's here. Hopefully he is. Girls cross country, Doug Pregman is watching, but he's having dinner with his son right now. So I'll introduce the girls cross country All-Stater, which was Jane Smith. Girls soccer. We had a couple of All-Staters in girls soccer, and their coach Gustavo Reyes is working. So I will introduce both Emma Love and Abby Miles. In boys soccer, and their coach, Kevin Fitzsimmons, who is also working, had two All-Staters as well. And they were Max Weiss and Max Hutton. So I guess if your name is Max, you'd make All-State this year. In boys soccer, that is. Volleyball, we had one All-Stater, and that was Sydney Lyon, who was also the tournament MVP for the state this year. And the SWC tournament as well. Swim and dive had multiple all-state athletes. I know that the volleyball coach, Maddie Gale, is here. I will introduce her when we get to the team portion of this and let her introduce her whole team at that point. Brandon Barone is not able to be here tonight. He is coaching, but his all-staters for girls swim and dive, Katie Franco, Olivia Huey, Allie Bradley, Adele Copus, Millie Bailey, Skylar Shapiro, Zofia Camille, Callie Mandel. So quite the list for our swim and dive team this fall. Congratulations to them. And one that we just found out about, the most recent one, was a football. We had one football all-state athlete as well, and that was Nate Lucetta, and his coach, Dan Hassett, is also not here this evening. So congratulations, Nate. On top of those all-state athletes, we did have one all-New England athlete this fall. It was the first all-New England athlete that we have had from our boys soccer team, and that was Max Weiss. Congratulations, Max. But we don't stop there. Max, if we were on a stage, I would tell you to stay up with me for another minute, Max, because we also had our first ever all-state, all-American athlete in the sport of boys soccer. And it couldn't happen to a more deserving person. And I'm just so proud of him and happy for him. And that would be Max Weiss again. So I talked about what an amazing fall it was. The boys soccer team won an SWC championship. Girls swim and dive won an SWC championship. Girls volleyball won an SWC championship. Girls soccer was the SWC runner-ups for the first time in the history of that program. Girls volleyball won the SWC championship for the first time in the history of that program. It was just amazing. It was an amazing fall. And then we also had we had a state runner-up in boys cross country, and we had state champions. I'll do swim and dive first because their coach isn't here, and then you can stop listening to me and listen to someone else after that. But the girls swim and dive team were state champions this year. Amazing record, I mean, undefeated record, an amazing team. The way they came together at the end, it was an amazing meet. It was a fun meet to watch. When I'm going to introduce those that participated, their coaches, Brandon Barone, Katie Angelides, and Shannon Crawley. And their team, Allie Bradley, Julia Constantine, Katie Franco, Arcadia Kittleson. I wish they were coming up and I was handing them something. It's much more fun that way when we used to do this in the middle school library, but I'll continue. Zofia Camille, Paige DeFelice, Olivia Huey, Adele Copus, Kelly Leahy, Callie Mandel, Francesca Sparagna, Millie Bailey, Skylar Shapiro, Katerina Todorovich, Madison Winslow, Isabel Huey, Emily Krager, sorry. Girls swim and dive. Now, I would like to introduce, and she can introduce her coaching staff and her team, for the first time in the history of our school, a second banner will be going up for the first time, because they won the SWCs for the first time in the history of the school as well. Our volleyball coach, Maddie Gale.
Hi, everybody. I am here tonight because I will never get tired of saying that we are 27-0, and I will say it for as long as I can. Yes. So proud of these girls. They worked so hard. So my cookies might be burning, but they will be just fine. My assistant coaches and my lifelines were Coach Jose Cruz, Coach Alyssa Jones, and Coach Bonacorso. And then the team consisted of Lauren Biggin, Amy Boncosi, Sydney Lyon, Leah Pinels, Rianne Withington, Gabby Hayes, Natalie Lustberg, Caitlin McKiernan, Lucy Nussbaum, Kelly O'Carmody, Josie Smith, Gianna Blunchi, Lauren Castro, and Marissa Russo. And I'm so will always be so proud of you girls.
So that is all we have for athletics. As I said, an amazing season. These athletes continue to amaze every season. And the winter athletes have already been put on notice that they have a tough act to follow. And hopefully we'll all stay healthy and safe, and they'll have the opportunity to follow that tough act. Thank you.
Just a minute, Mr. Berkowitz. We also received, or the athletic department at Weston High School received a great honor that we have been recognized as the 2021 CIAC Michaels Cup. If you could explain that. We heard this right before the board meeting.
Yeah, the Michaels Cup has changed over the years. Some of you who have been around for a while will remember that we were the overall winner twice in the last 10 years. They don't do that award. They don't give that award anymore. Now there's criteria that they set, and I believe there were 22 schools in the state that earned Michaels Cup recognition this year, and we are, obviously very happy to be one of them. It's based off sportsmanship and areas that we work on to try and continue to improve our sportsmanship, as well as our overall ratings throughout the year in that area is the main. There's other items that go into it, but that's the main thing.
Well, and you were especially honored. The program was honored based on that good sportsmanship mentioned during the pandemic. So hats off to all of you at Weston High School, the administrators. That's really hard. That was hard. It was a hard season.
Coach Berkowitz, the only downside to having board meetings in Zoom is that we don't get the opportunity to actually issue the awards in person in the library. I think that's just a very special meeting that we have, and hopefully we can get back to that. We can get back to that soon. Every since I've been on the board, every fall and winter, every fall and spring, you come back and said we've had an outstanding season. It seems to be kind of what Weston has been doing historically, and we never get tired of hearing that. In fact, we sometimes even take it for granted, but we realize all the hard work that goes into it, all the hard work that our students and our coaches put into it, and we see the results. It's amazing. Weston's a small school district, but it's amazing how we kind of punch way above our weight, both in classroom achievements and achievements on the field, on the court, as well as in the theater. And it's really a testament to our students, our parents, the commitments of our coaches. It's like I said, it's just a shame that we don't have the opportunity to actually recognize everyone in person, but job well done. We're all very, very proud of you. Any other comments from board members or the administration?
Just bravo to all of you. And I wish that we were together, mostly because I think it would be much, much louder.
Yeah. We don't have motion language, but one of the things I'd like to do is I'd like to have a motion to recognize our outstanding students for their achievements in the class academically as well as on the field and in the courts.
I move to recognize our outstanding athletes, both academically and also athletically and on the courts in this evening's meeting.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Hi,
Sharon.
Taffy.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Tony. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Congratulations to everyone for your outstanding achievements.
Great job, guys.
All right, so if we move to the next agenda item, Lisa, we have a donation that we want to talk about.
Yes, that's correct. It's a donation from the Weston High School class of 1971. And we would ask the board to recognize and accept the donation of $950 from the Weston class of 1971 to the Weston High School student government to use for activities that promote friendship and community among all students. Would you like me to read the names of the members of the class that put this forward?
Sure.
Mary Laidlin, Elizabeth Muther, Patricia Venner, Jane Gattenby, Carol Beasley, Neil Hicks, Julie Greent, and Roseanne Shigurinal, and I probably mangled their names. I apologize. But we would ask that you recognize and accept this donation. And when Jake and Carly speak about student government, maybe they could tell us what they'd like to spend the funds on.
That's great. That's really surprising. Were you expecting this? Did you have any conversations, or did this just come
I would
to you?
defer to Julie Gavoni about that.
Yes, Carol Beasley and Roseanne Shigirian reached out to me earlier this fall. The members of the class of 1971 are the first graduating class from Weston High School, and this year was their 50th reunion. So those two ladies were working to organize a small gathering, which they had in November. And as part of that reunion, they were planning to ask for donations in the name of the high school. And they reached out to me to say, you know, kind of what would you hope to us to make a donation for? And, you know, I explained to them that we have some priorities this year in student government. And I think overall at the high school, where we are looking to incorporate service, community service into what we're doing for all of our activities. And they sort of loved that idea and they jumped right on it. We were certainly not expecting this level of donation. So we're very grateful to the class of 1971 in recognition of their 50th reunion for this donation. And we're very excited to be able to use those funds.
That's wonderful. With that, can I have a motion?
I motion to accept the gift funds.
We have a written motion. Yeah,
I've got it. I can do it, Sharon.
we have a
Sorry,
written motion. Okay.
I move that the Weston Board of Education recognize and accept the donation of $950 from the Weston High School class of 1971 to the Weston High School student government to use for activities that promote friendship and community among all students.
Have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Hi, Taffy.
I'm Melissa.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Aye, Tony. All opposed? Motion passes. And we thank the class of 1971 and those that might be listening live through our live stream this evening. Thank you. Next is approval of minutes. Can I have a motion?
Move that the Weston Board of Education approve the minutes from the November 15, 2021 Board of Education regular meeting.
Have a second?
I second.
Any comments on the minutes? If there isn't, all in favor?
Aye, Melissa.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Aye, Tony. All opposed? Okay. Motion passes, minutes are approved. Next agenda item is public comment. It looks like we have some people from the public in our meeting. I guess the protocol is you raise your hand, you will be called. When you're called, state your name and the street that you live on. And we have 3 minutes for public comment per citizen.
I don't believe there's anybody in public comment. I think a few people may be left from the student recognition.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, unless I'm wrong. Unless I'm wrong.
I did get a note saying this person was going to try and log in, but maybe changed. Hang on 1 second. Let's just make sure. Do they have to unmute themselves or?
Yeah, but it doesn't look like.
I see. Yeah, I just see a few people from the recognition. I don't see any additional names.
I don't see any additional names, nor do I see anybody raising their hand.
Great.
We'll give it another 10 seconds or so, just in case. Okay, it doesn't look like we have public comment this evening. Okay, let's move to the next agenda item, which is student reps. You're on.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there.
Hey.
So we had a really exciting past few weeks, and we know after break, we also have a lot planned. One of the things that just happened that we really wanted to share was X period, which is a tradition that has happened for a long time at Weston High School, but it looked a little different this year. So what we did is on Friday last week, it usually happens, one of the Fridays before break, there's an additional period built into the schedule where students are able to sort of pick between a wide range of activities and get to sort of go to that activity and hang out for an extra period. But this year we sort of took a different direction. Ms. Gavoni sort of helped us craft this new idea where it was more community service based. So we still had a lot of the same holiday spirit going on. A lot of the activities that we used to do, just we incorporated community service while doing so, which was really great. We had a ton of different projects running, from like outdoor cleanups to like donation jar decorations. And a lot of it was spearheaded by a bunch of different students too, which was great. And we had student volunteers all the way from completing the activities to delivering the items. So that was really exciting and a great way to work in some community service into a time when it's, I think, really challenging.
Yeah, and then also one of the most exciting parts of the last month was this last week. We sort of have a tradition in student government each year is we sell candy cane grams, which have like a little message on it, and you can send it to whoever you want. And this year we sold them at lunches for the past week at every lunch block, and we sold around 300 of them, which was fantastic. And a portion of the proceeds are going to go to Person to Person, the community service group that we've been working with throughout this year, and also with community service with Person to Person. Last weekend we had a community service event with Person to Person. We had a few volunteers from student government go, and it was really great. It was, holiday themed, gift giving, and it's the holiday season has just been great for community service and stuff like that, and just events in general for student government in the
We've-
school.
We've also seen a really big increase in like the community, especially within the younger students at the high school. Each grade group was able to complete sort of their own initiative. That was sort of our goal that we set for student government, was that they take on the challenge of sort of running a grade event or running something within their grades, which can be really daunting, especially having been online for so long. But our student government really stepped up to the plate. I feel like our younger, our like underclassmen leaders were really great in creating things such as like cookie decorating events for their grade after school, which was adorable, and gingerbread house making. So it was a great time. We saw a lot of community these past few weeks. And moving forward, we have a lot of exciting things. We have Deck the Halls coming up in February, which is another great tradition that we hope to carry through. We also have some school improvement initiatives. That's specifically my committee. And what we've been working on is integrating more ideas and ways that student government can support green initiatives. We're going to be meeting with the cafeteria staff to sort of spearhead how we can sort of in the future bring recycling and work with Green Team, and sort of that's our new initiative as we move forward. But we're really excited for these next few weeks and months.
And can I also add, did you guys also provide feedback to the town consultants on the facilities at the high school, sort of from the student perspective? Because I know one of the things that you did talk about was the green initiatives.
Yeah, we sat down as a committee and we made a list sort of with all the different areas within academics, within extracurriculars, within clubs, and then the athletics. And we, I think, got a pretty good, a pretty well-rounded response for them.
Thank you.
I was on mute. That was really helpful. So this will be passed on to our consultants then, Lisa?
It already has, and I emailed you as well.
Yeah,
yes,
I didn't. I got the email.
Yeah, it was just a few minutes ago. Well done. It was very helpful.
That is very helpful. I think that hearing from, as we look at the configuration of our campus in the future and a lot of the work that we want to do in terms of upgrading our school facilities, I think a really important, a critical part of that is really hearing from the people who have lived these facilities during their tenure here, not only the staff, but especially the students. And so thank you for that. I think it's going to be really helpful as we plan our facilities in the future.
Carly and Jake, can I ask you a quick question about the community service work you were doing?
Yeah.
What is the community service? Is there a community service requirement of high school students? And what is that? Like, is that, a certain number of hours, et cetera? And the stuff that you did in the last few weeks, is that over and above that? Or are those just sort of options for people who had to fulfill their requirement?
Well, so we don't have like a require. It's hard to require community service for everyone in the high school, but in student government, this is like, I think we might have mentioned it last Board of Ed meeting that we made an amendment to our student government constitution that added a requirement
for just the people serving on the student government, right?
For student government specifically, and we have opened up a lot of our community service initiatives to the school as well. We've been doing that throughout the year in Facebook and stuff like that, opening it up through social media. And
I also think that while there might not be like a set limit graduation requirement, there are a ton of clubs and extracurriculars as well as sports that really require community service. And I think that also by having these X periods, it sort of makes community service not so much a requirement, but part of the identity of a Weston High School student. So I feel even though somebody might not be in student government, I feel like they still have really fulfilled and also ask for and sort of search for these.
One of the reasons why we added the requirement, it wasn't just supposed to be another sort of amount of numbers that students serving in student government would have to fulfill in order to stay in student government or something like that. We, like Carly said, our identity, a lot of it is based on serving the community and stuff like that. And we want people, not just now, but going forward, who serve in student government, to really want to represent the community and stuff like that, so they know what they're going into and why. And
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I mean, back in the 90s, like when there were dinosaurs, community service was a requirement, and you had to complete 40 hours of community service in order to graduate from high school in a lot of states across the country. And unfortunately, that's what made it no longer volunteer work, because you were required, right?
Yeah.
Like it was an oxymoron. If you're forcing people to do service, that doesn't mean that they elect to do it on their own, right? They have to do it. So I completely agree with you, but I think if they want to serve on the student government, they absolutely need to walk the walk, right? They need to do it. I would love to hear, as you move forward in the year, if there are any other opportunities to just make it a great cultural norm for anyone in the high school to get involved in community service, and what kind of opportunities those are.
sure.
So I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comment from the board?
Great job, Carly.
Yeah.
And Jake. Nice job. Seriously.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks for the update. Thanks for doing what you do, and have a wonderful holiday break.
Thank you.
You
too.
as well. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Okay, now we're going to new business. Lisa, you want to take it from there? We have some resignations and retirements.
Yes, that's correct. I would ask that you acknowledge and approve the items on the consent agenda as recommended. And I will read through them. We have a new hire, Elizabeth Liz Osney, who is the District Administrative Assistant in PBS, effective December 13th, 2021. You may recall that Jody Hanna had resigned later this fall. And we have 5 resignations, beginning first with Margaret Courtier. I'm really mangling names tonight. I am sorry. The Assistant Director of Pupil Personnel Services, effective February 28th, 2021 for personal reasons. Jennifer Merced, who is a para professional at Hurlbut, effective December 22nd for personal reasons. Christy Richardson, who is a special education teacher at Weiss, effective December 17th, which was on Friday. She took a position in another Connecticut school district. Jenna Skelton, a special education teacher at Hurlbut, effective January 7th. She also took a position in another Connecticut school district. And Susan Stephenson, who was an accounting coordinator, effective December 31st for personal reasons. So I would ask that you acknowledge and approve those.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
Move that the Weston Board of Education acknowledge and accept the consent agenda.
Have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Taffy.
Hi, Sharon.
I Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Tony. All opposed? Motion passes. We welcome Elizabeth Obesny to the district, and I hope that's the right pronunciation of your last name. Excuse me if it isn't. And we wish all of the other staff members who resigned all the best as they transition away from our district to whatever new challenges they're going to be taking on in the future. With that, let's move to the next agenda item. Would basically are into policy now. We have a first read for credit for online course policy. Let's take that.
Sure, I can start.
Is this the first read?
It's a
Yeah.
first read. Yeah, it's a first
I'm
read.
sorry. All right.
We discussed it at the policy meeting.
Okay.
It's policy 6146.2. It's attached and posted for anybody listening that wants to take a look at it. Basically, it was an opportunity for us to take a look at our online course requirements and graduation requirements and make sure that the policy matches, kind of what we're doing in practice. Students often, for a variety of reasons, may take a course outside of the Weston Public Schools, and we need to be able to account for that class in terms of graduation, but also without it affecting GPA. So there's a variety of circumstances where that may be necessary. People often take an online class to reach a level in math that they need to. So they might take a class like that. They may have something they took during summer school. They may want to catch up on language. So we took a pretty careful read of this, and I think it reflects what's actually happening in the district. If I don't know if I'm missing anything, Lisa or Julie.
I think you pretty much covered it. Julie, you were the one that actually pointed this out, that with the change in the graduation requirements, it would be appropriate for us to also look on the online courses. I don't know if you want to add anything about that.
No, I think Melissa explained very well kind of what we're doing in terms of the rewrite is to catch up with what our practice is and what you have approved as the new graduation requirements in the last meeting.
I have a question. What is an example of like an online course that, like, what's a typical online course that might fall into this category? Is there?
When we discussed it in the meeting, I mean, I'm sure Julie has more experience than I do, but I think there was a lot of kind of, I don't want to say entry level math, but like the stepping stone math requirements to get into other math courses. And similarly with the entry level language courses, that you can take a more accelerated language course in Weston. Anything else, Julie?
I don't know that there is a typical course that falls under this policy.
Yeah.
I think these are exceptions.
Yeah.
And there are circumstances that, bring us to this situation. An example that I might give is, we have certain courses at upper levels that are singleton courses. They're only offered during one period. And if a student, desires to take the next course in a sequence and there's a scheduling conflict and they can't fit it into their schedule, but they want to continue through the sequence, they might elect to take that course online in order to continue their education. So that's kind of one example that we see. Melissa is right. There is often a student who's seeking to accelerate along a particular sequence. So they might take a course over the summer or something like that. But I would say these are exceptions, that this does not happen often.
Do you see this? Do you see this? And I'm kind of thinking ahead as we, going through COVID. There, obviously the transition to doing more online, more, absorbing more content, learning online, all of that. Do you see this at all as as something that in the future may not be an exception to the rule, that that your entire educational experience could be a mixture of in-person and things that you take online that may or may not be offered by this district? Do you kind of, this is not related to this particular policy, but I'm just wondering if this is something that you think may not be an exception in the future, but may just be how we might deliver education in the future by a combination of things that we can offer in person versus online, where we may not be able to offer it, or it's not feasible for a number of reasons for us to offer it in person.
So I think broadly the answer to your question is yes. I can see online courses in some combination of in-person instruction as something that we might consider as a district. I do also see why families might choose this, outside of the Weston Public Schools as an option for their students. It's difficult because I don't think we are yet in a place where online instruction is really a replacement for in-person instruction. We've all learned that lesson very well in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So it really is for a certain kind of student who can find success with a virtual class. But yes, I think small high schools where they want to have a lot of course offerings have in other districts looked to what virtual options are available. And that might be something we would want to consider in the future.
Yeah.
I think we talked about, I think in curriculum, or maybe it was policy, Melissa, I forget. We talked about how it's hard to monitor how well the student engages with that course, or whether that course meets the standard of Weston High School, which is probably a bigger question. I think, Lisa, you brought that up at one of our meetings.
Well, that's why if you look at the policy, you're exactly correct. We're not adding it into the student's GPA, because while we certainly approve the courses, there is a range of types of courses as far as rigor goes.
Yep.
And also, it's important to note the policy also explains this. There is a process. I mean, Julie's right. It's an exception to be able to do this. And there's a process to follow through, and requirements must be met to show that the course is, appropriate to receive this type of credit.
Yeah, and they also, I believe, have to have approval prior to taking the course. So the approval has to come from the school.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Can I have a motion?
There's not a motion because it's the first read.
Oh, first read, right. Sorry.
But I encourage anybody who has any thoughts to, email me. I chair the policy committee, and we can certainly incorporate any revisions before it goes to a second read at our next monthly board meeting.
Great. Thanks, Melissa. New course offerings. Sustainable solutions. Who's going to take that one?
I can take that.
We have a few new course offerings. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Tony. Good evening, everybody. Really pleased tonight to share 3 new course proposals for the board's review and hopefully adoption this evening. This is the time of year we bring these new ideas, creative, innovative approaches to further engaging students in the curriculum. And these 3 courses, I think, are really with that intent to increase engagement, to try to have our courses evolve to the next level to meet the current needs of students. And so I'm going to take each one by one. These courses have been vetted by the curriculum committee first over the past couple of months. They've looked at these courses, asked a lot of questions. So we've really gone in depth, into reviewing these, but the whole board hasn't really had a chance to hear about them. Although you have the materials as part of the board packet, and they obviously, you may have seen them previously as part of the curriculum committee materials put forth. So going along with the board's sustainability policy that was recently adopted, going along with the district goal of sustainability, we had the member of our science faculty, Mike Aikenhead, along with our CIL for science, Jamie Charles, put together a proposal for a course called Sustainable Solutions. It's a year-long course that would essentially be a performance-based course where students will kind of pick up on a lot of the key content and skills from environmental science and look to apply that in a problem-solving kind of approach. This course, we think, is going to have high interest, and some of the topics they'll be looking at, units of study, include how do you further save energy? What are some sustainable solutions for building and construction? Sustainable landscaping, how to conserve water, transportation options, sustainable purchasing, investing options, waste management reduction, green cleaning, and so on. And kind of a tangible piece of this is that students will be looking at sustainable farming. We have our greenhouse outside of our science wing, And that has not been used as an instructional space for in recent years. That is an area we expect to be heavily used as part of this new course. So Julie, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add with this course, but we bring this to you with a lot of excitement and anticipate this for juniors and seniors will be an option that many will take advantage of. Any questions?
No, it sounds exciting and very clear. Thanks, Ken. Can I have a motion?
Move that the Weston Board of Education approve the Sustainable Solutions course for FY 2023.
Second,
I second.
all in favor?
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Taffy.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Tony. All opposed? Motion passes. Next one, Ken?
Yes, and so the next course is coming from our visual art department. Our new curriculum instructional leader for visual arts, Kate O'Keefe, has submitted and has described a new course called Digital Illustrations and Animation in the proposal. This is really an evolution of curriculum. We have our contemporary media design, or advanced contemporary media design course that this essentially replaces. It moves the curriculum from what was more of a graphic design approach into more of digital illustration animation course. And just to highlight the digital aspect of this course, there is digital drawing, painting, rendering. There's introduction to animation, character design, development, stop motion animation, environmental background design. So there are a whole series of units that move this course to another level. So this is kind of like, taking a really good look at our curriculum within a course that has been a very important course for us and taking it to the next level. This course is, and Julie, just correct me if I'm wrong, it's a semester course, correct, Julie? Yep, semester course for students in grades 9 through 12. And again, we're just pleased to bring this to your attention.
Great. I have a question just in terms of our ability to, just our infrastructure, technology, how much more do we have to add in order to be able to deliver this effectively?
Good question, Tony, because, with all of these courses, the staffing is cost neutral, but with this course here, you do note that there's some additional technology that's needed, because as part of our current advanced CMD course, we have, I believe, 7 tablets. And for this course, we're ideally looking to add another 17 tablets so that students can engage in more of the digital design. And we are looking, Dan DeVito is working with Kate and me to find the resources to have the tablets in place for the students. I believe, Dan, is it in our current budget request?
Yes, it's in the budget. It's in the budget request.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have, we have a good portion, but we obviously need some more of these tablets.
Yeah, let's make sure that when we actually look at the budget items, right, that we have a clear thread between what we've approved from a curriculum point of view and the fact that we're going to have to pay for it. Sometimes we forget about that, and when it comes budget time, we talk about not approving an expenditure and forgetting that we actually approved the course. So let's just make sure that come budget time that we are reminded of our obligation to actually fund a new piece of curriculum that we approved.
Thank you,
No.
Tony. We certainly have that in there for the budget.
Do we know just generally what we're talking about in terms of dollars?
So the proposal lists $10,000. Dan, do you have an updated figure, or is that?
It's just round numbers.
Yeah, that's about the cost of the equipment. They're special tablets. They're not like iPads. They're called Wacom tablets. So that's the cost is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And can they be used for anything other than this course?
There's specific tablets that they can be used for those types of courses.
Yeah.
But there really are specialized tablets.
And Tony, this came up in curriculum. It's something that's going to have to be funded either year over year or with a refresh cycle. So that's not a one-time, as I'm sure everyone here with technology knows.
That's right.
It's not a one-time purchase. And we talked about this in curriculum. We have to commit to funding this with a refresh cycle, which probably no other time.
I mean, the reality is that it's a really advanced, offering.
Mm-hmm.
And has this caveat of technology dependence, but just about everything is going to be technology dependent as we move forward in the next 10 years, right? So it's not like it's
No, I just wanted to make sure we, that.
No, I think that's right.
We have that discussion, and then it's
it's not actually cost neutral is the bottom line, right?
So just so I understand correctly, each year it's going to be about a $10,000 cost in order for this class to move forward?
No.
How frequently do you have to renew the technology?
Best idea, best concepts would be every 4 years.
Every 4 years. So it's on average about $2,500 a year is what it's going to cost. How many students are we expecting to take this class?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
We're
What's your sense?
We're predicting at this point that we'll have interest to run 2 sections of the course. So that would be about 40 students. And that, of course, is reliant on what the actual number of requests is. If we don't have that many, we would run 1 section. But my suspicion, just based on the content of the course, is that there will be quite a bit of interest. I think the difference here with this course from, the previous advanced CMD is there's really a direct pathway to career here. So where, some introductory art courses are really for the novice who's just getting their feet wet, this is a course that is building a student toward a post-secondary art pathway. So for our students that are looking for media arts as a potential career option, I think there's going to be a lot of interest there.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's also important to note that we don't run a class if we don't have the enrollment, or we don't run a section unless we don't have the enrollment. And for the enrollment, we look at 15 kids in a section, give or take, depending on the number of sections and how it will be offered. So it could very easily affect another offering in art. We won't know until the students make choice. But as Julie said, this is a course that the kids want, this type of course.
Yeah, that's great. Can I have a motion?
Move that the Western Board of Education approve the digital illustration and animation course for fiscal year 2023.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Dave. All in favor?
Hi, Taffy.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Tony. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Now the last course, English 12.
Thanks, Tony. And so the English 12 proposal is really an opportunity for us in the senior year to offer students more choice in their second semester of their senior year. I think you all know that English 12 is a requirement, senior, taking English in the senior year is a requirement of all students, need 4 years of English. There are currently really three pathways that students have. One is the AP Lit, the other's Honors Humanities, and then there's our English 12 college prep level course. And it's in that course, English 12, that this proposal seeks to provide choice within the second semester. So all students will continue to have that first semester foundation that they currently have, but in the second semester, we're offering three choices to students. And I'll put my fingers on those. The three choices are, it's a look at criminal minds, the psychological analysis of literature, and we have in the proposal listed several texts. Second option will be identity, journey to self-discovery. And then the third one is around fantasy literature. The future is now, archetypes in fantasy, myth, and science fiction. And what we would do is offer to students those choices and ask them to identify their top two if they're taking English 12. And you should note that the second semester is a fairly short semester for seniors because most go off to internships in early May. So but we really think that this is going to increase engagement with students if they have some choice around that. And now there is a scheduling piece to this that we're looking at. Obviously, when you create more choice, you have to look at how are you able to schedule it. That was a big discussion in curriculum committee. And the high school believes they can schedule this. And so note that, students who in their first semester will have the beginning of this course and have one teacher. Potentially, they may have a different teacher the second semester, depending on which choice they make. Julie, did you want to add anything?
I think this proposal follows with the others in the idea that we're hoping to have students take some ownership over their choices to promote their engagement. In this case, particularly around the literature, right? These are literature-based courses, but we want students really to be reading things that are highly engaging for them so that they can have practice with the skills before they leave us, whatever their post-secondary experience will be, to be able to have more choice over what that looks like in English, I think is really desirable. So we welcome your questions.
Can you just clarify? It's two questions. If the subscription or the opt-in to English 12 was pretty low currently, this English 12 is different because you're offering these choices in the second semester, which are really interesting. Is the first semester a prerequisite? Is it a full year course?
Yes, Taffy, it's a full year of English. Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, they will continue to have to take a full year of English as seniors. Those who are electing the standard option, the college prep option, would take the standard English 12 in the first semester, and then the second semester would be one of these choices. So everyone would complete the full year of English.
But they can take ho-hum instead, right? If they wanted.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess my question then is, do you think that more people will sign up for this course than the previous English 12 that was offered because it's been revamped and has these choices in the second semester?
I think that's a really tough thing to speculate about at this point. What's different here is that when you're talking about ho-hum and AP Lit, those are both honors courses. So there's the weighted grading piece to that. I know that is attractive to certain students. And of course, the subject matter in ho-hum, I think, is also interesting to a particular subgroup of students. I do think it might make some students think more carefully about their choice. But it's very difficult to predict.
If I can add something,
Please.
there's still 3 sections of this course.
Yeah.
So that's 60 students.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Out of the senior class. And as Julie said, the others are standard level. So while it looks like, there are clearly students that want to take ho-hum and AP Lit for different reasons, there's still 60 students that this course will serve. And that, it's a graduation requirement. You have to have 4 years of English.
Right.
So they're going to take it. It's just great to be able to provide them more choice.
I totally agree. I was not at the last curriculum meeting, which is why I'm asking these questions. So thank you.
Great. Can I have a motion?
Move that the Weston Board of Education approve the revamped English 12 course for fiscal year 2023.
Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Sharon.
Taffy.
Hi, Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Tony. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, we'll get to getting to you earlier and earlier, Phil. It's a good sign. This was the spring, it would still be light out.
It would be still light out. Just giving a quick financial update for the period ended in November, fiscal 21-22. We're currently, based on where we are, based on current trends, we are on target to have a balanced budget for the end of the year. We do not anticipate, when we're not releasing any anticipated surpluses at this time. I think it's still too early in the year, even though Tony has mentioned that it's early, but it's not quite that early. At some time during the third quarter, we will start reporting on any surpluses. Just want to give a note, when we think about surpluses, right, we have to think about the budget and our expenditure and the aggregate, and not necessarily what it means for any one particular line item. And for those reasons, I'm just going to wait a little bit, and then we'll start to report sometime in the third quarter, as I mentioned before. So we're definitely still on track. We still have a current deficit of $51,564, but the plan is to find savings within our current budget to cover this deficit.
Phil, any, we're talking about surpluses, but where there's any, any things that you might be worried about in terms of potential need for more funds to cover unexpected operating expenditures, where might that come from?
If as usual, there's always a concern that we have for in our SPED PPS department. And Tracy, I'm not quite sure if you want to just give a quick overview of where we are.
Sure. I did join the curriculum committee meeting and actually the finance committee meeting last week to talk about some of the trends that we're seeing overall. There is a very significant increase in social emotional needs district-wide, particularly at the high school level. And we're seeing the impact of that in terms of what students need from us academically, socially, and emotionally in order to access their educational experiences. I think it's playing a factor in this year's budget. And I think just as a preview, it's going to definitely play a factor in the budget that we'll be discussing beginning in January for fiscal year 23.
Yeah. Yeah. Julie, when you look at the high school, and Tracy mentions, the increase of social emotional needs of, especially in the high school, from your perspective, where, when you look at the social emotional dimension of the high school and the different grades, how do you, what are you seeing from your perspective as the building administrator?
I think we're experiencing a lot of challenges all around. I think when Tracy is talking, she's talking about our neediest students. And, you know, that's not our only concern. I think that we have a lot of trends that we're seeing in the high school, just in terms of student behaviors and the way that they are engaging socially with one another. There's a lot of immaturity that we're seeing in terms of just regular behaviors in the classroom, and that has been challenging for staff, and we've been trying to work with them on how to handle that and how to work through that, because it's to be expected. It's not, you know, something that's surprising. And certainly we're not alone. But I think that, you know, we're still working through what exactly needs to be done and what resources are needed. I think that I'm sensing that's where this question is heading. I think in terms of what Tracy is talking about, we have an understanding of kind of what is needed and where we need to go. I think we still are working through, you know, how we can intervene for some students before they get to a level of crisis. So it's really evolving. We've learned a lot, and I mean, I know they're small things, but things like the wellness break that we have instituted recently, even things like what Carly and Jake were talking about earlier with the community service day, you know, how we can get students together in the best way that we can, you know, despite some of the challenges that we still have with COVID, working toward a purpose. How do we continue momentum with our advisory program and DBT training? It's a very, very big animal. When we talk about social emotional, we're talking about mental health. We're talking about social emotional learning and coping skills and things like that. So there's a lot here. And I think we're still just sort of figuring out kind of where we are. It's not always an easy thing to put your finger on.
No, it's not. And I wasn't necessarily speaking just in budget terms, nor was I speaking about the neediest, but I think that I think it's not a surprise, like you said, that that we need to think more broadly because of the fact that I think our reentry, which we're still, I call it reentry. I don't really even know if that's the appropriate word, but just coming out of COVID, if and when we do, it's not surprising that we're seeing some of the things we're seeing, but it's a question of really, what are we doing? What are we going to do about it? And I don't think it's just about our neediest students. I think it's going to be about everyone ultimately. But let's just make sure that, this is the finance portion of the agenda. And I think, circling back to that, let's just make sure that whatever needs we have, we actually are very clear and articulate that in the upcoming budget discussion. Because this is, Tracy came to Finance Committee. Now, she said it again. So let's just make sure that we try to tackle it and do what we need to do budget time. And if we need to prioritize that, let's prioritize it.
Okay, on the internal services fund, we're trending for the period ending November, just slightly below anticipated or theoretical. So that's it for the financial update for November.
Any questions from board members? There's no questions. Can I have a motion?
Move that the Weston Board of Education approve the fifth fiscal year 2022 financial update.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Thanks, Bernie. All in favor?
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Taffy.
I Bernadette.
Hi, David.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Tony. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Lisa, the supers update? we have three subtopics there.
Thank you. The first topic is the COVID-19 update. Clearly, many of you are aware that there has been an increase in our dashboard over the last several days, specifically with students more than staff. Right now, our dashboard is showing 107 members of our district community that are either positive or on quarantine due to COVID. And out of that 107, I believe 11 are staff and the rest are students. There have been questions about whether or not we should, parents are thinking, let's move to all remote now, let's move to all remote in January. That is very challenging to do. If we move to all remote, it's has to be done at the state level. And if we declared that the district was going to go into remote, there's a question, frankly, of whether the days would even count towards school days this upcoming in our overall count that we have to have. The governor was on before our executive session, and many of us superintendents were listening to see if anything was said. Nothing was said at this point. To put it in perspective, right now with 107 members of our district community, 90 plus of them being students, that's about 4% of our overall district population. Last year at this time, we had 177 people that were either positive or on quarantine for COVID. Yes, it's changed a little bit. We do have more positive cases. Last year, we had more quarantine, and that is in part for the way that we look at the mitigating strategies with determining if a student has to go on quarantine, the length of the quarantine as such. We have 2.5 days left of this week. The building principals, the teachers, the support staff are really working hard to keep teaching and learning moving forward, and also to put in place some additional mitigating strategies. Those strategies range from postponing in-person events to moving some programs virtually, to doing things in small groups, to going outside whenever possible. Thursday is a half day. It can't come quick enough, quite frankly. I know at the high school, they reopened the old gym to provide more space for students to eat. So, right now at this point, we are, monitoring the situation. We did not have pool testing this week. And the reason specifically today was because there was a staffing issue with the program, the state-sponsored program, the organization that provides the pool testing. That being said, we will continue our pool testing on January 3rd for our K-5, and then we are moving to K-6 rather, and then we are moving, correct, Mr. Doak shaking his head, 7th and 8th graders will start on January 10th, and then the high school, anyone that wants to do the pool testing, it would be after midterms. The pool testing is specifically for unvaccinated or not, or someone that is not fully vaccinated. That's someone being a student. As much as I wish we could test the staff in that through that program, we cannot. It's a specific free program for students. So that is the update. I am going to be sending out a communication to parents, community members, reiterating that the idea of opening up remote and making it a choice for families also gets complicated. To be perfectly frank, we have an MOA with the teachers union regarding remote. Governor Lamont has made it very clear that remote should be for specific situations. And it's not for travel or other purposes. It's for someone that is, if you are sick with COVID, well, if you're sick and you're really sick with COVID, please stay home and get better. But if you are, if you test positive or if you're on quarantine. So I don't know if there are any questions regarding the that update, that COVID update.
Lisa, I think there's, I think that all of these different options create a little bit of confusion, right?
Yes.
In terms of what is in our control versus what is not in our control. And I think that, if you go through the options, so for example, just going fully remote right now, it sounds like that's really not in our control because we really aren't. It's not something that, from the governor's perspective, is something that we can just unilaterally do and assume that we're going to basically get credits for those days as being proper school days.
That is correct. Before this uptick, we were hoping that snow days, if we could do remote, would count.
Right.
And they made it very clear that at the state level that they would not count.
Right. The other option that I think a lot of parents are looking at, or even I think may have come up with teachers, is basically the whole kind of, having choice. Basically, can parents just choose to keep their kids home, let's say? And what are the complications that come out of that, really? Where you say, either parents choose to keep their kids home or teachers are teaching from a remote location, right? I mean, there's those options have come up, right? What are some of the complications there?
Well, as I said, when you give choice, it can be a slippery slope. And we do have a memorandum of understanding with the teachers union regarding specifically the remote piece of that as it relates to quarantine and positive cases of COVID.
Right.
In addition, you open the door to, well, we're traveling, or we're coming back late, we're leaving early. Why can't we log in? It puts tremendous pressure on the teachers to be able to manage that, to just flip a switch and do that. We did that, if you remember, back in spring of 2020, and everybody rallied at this point. And we had a superintendent's meeting on the local supers on Friday. Our goal is to get through this week, to reevaluate when we come back in January. If there is additional state guidance, I'm sure that, then we will take that guidance or direction, if you will. But again, at this point, it's really very difficult. When you're talking about 4% of the overall population, now someone might say, well, it's going to increase, or you don't know what's going to happen. No, we don't know. What we do know is that we want to keep our schools moving forward with teaching and learning. We want to be able to provide different activities in the afternoons to our students when appropriate and within certain parameters to ensure their safety. It is really hard. These kids have lost a lot by not being in school. And, it's almost at times I feel like it's a lose-lose on either side, depending on who you talk to. So we're going to stay the course, keep moving forward, and doing the very best we possibly can to keep our schools open and to keep teaching and learning continuing.
How do you, in each of the schools, just the fluidity around just staffing every day, especially if you're finding that, let's say we get back in January and we find that, more and more staff is either going to be either testing positive or quarantine. How do you evaluate that every morning, see what you
I can attest, because I pretty much go around in the mornings to all the different schools. Every morning you will see an administrator trying to figure out how to cover absences. Now, remember, it's not all COVID absences. Right now we have, I'm trying to look. 6 and 5, 11 staff members that are affected by COVID. But then you have professional development, you have personal days, you have someone that is just sick, you have a family illness day. When we started the year, we did not have a very robust substitute pool, to say the least. And all of the administrators, I see them shaking their heads. We're trying to interview, we were advertising, some of our subs did come back, but there was also a change in the availability of subs based on COVID and other family and personal reasons, I'm sure. But so we seem to have gotten more of our subs back, but it is a challenge, and I don't want to underplay the challenge it is every day to just keep things moving forward in a positive way.
So we're gonna stay the course for the next few days and then reevaluate in January when we come back in and see what the situation is.
Correct. And I will, and I say this in my note to the community, we certainly hope that everyone stays safe, that they stay healthy, and that they also, practice their own mitigating strategies to have that happen. It's real challenging. A lot of our college students are coming home. Some of them have already found out that they're not going to be going back because of COVID right away, and things that have moved offline. So online rather. So it definitely is challenging. We're just going to keep going forward.
Lisa, go ahead, David.
Oh, thanks. Lisa, can you clarify? I went online, I looked through my own documents, and I think it would be helpful for me and maybe other Board of Ed members as well as the public to hear. So if a teacher tests positive for COVID, regardless of vaccination status, what happens?
If a teacher,
if they test positive and they're vaccinated, what happens?
If they test positive, they need to quarantine.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Okay. So vaccination status irrelevant. If you test positive.
If they're positive, they're positive. That is correct. Now it's different if they're exposed and they're asymptomatic. If someone is exposed, they're asymptomatic. With students, it has to be, within 3 feet. There's different parameters that we look at, whether or not that they are on quarantine or not.
Okay, so if a teacher tests positive, regardless of vaccination status, they're on a 10-day quarantine or 14-day quarantine?
They're on a 10-day quarantine.
Okay. And how about students?
The same.
Okay. So regardless of vaccination status, if a student or an educator tests positive, they're on a 10-day quarantine.
That's correct. Now you can also look at the handbook online specifically. Gosh, I think it's page 23. I've read it so many times. The other thing is that if you get a test, you can come back on day 7 if you get a test. And again, it's specified in the handbook. If someone goes, they gets a test, they're negative, they can shorten that quarantine.
So
they get a test, and if they get a test and they test positive, by the way, because it hasn't gone away, that's very complicated. So a lot of kids are not getting tested on day 7, and they're just waiting the 10 days and then coming back to school, because what are you doing if you're testing positive on day 7? Just that
related to Taffy's question, are we asking educators to get tested at 7 days? Or are we just saying you may choose to get tested at 7 days?
We are asking them, but we are asking them too. Yes. However, asking and requiring are 2 different things. So we are asking, look, nobody, to be frank, wants to be out on this. And, there's a lot of different stories going around about different things. Someone came to school. Oh, I thought I was positive. I didn't feel well. I came anyway. And then the parents pulling them out. So if your child isn't feeling well, please keep him or her home.
Yeah,
because it really complicates things. And then our poor administrators have to go into contact tracing and everything else. If your child is sick, he or she should not be in school. I can't say it any clearer.
So can you clarify one more related question? Because I've heard from some people saying their child, and it might not be 100% accurate, my child coughed, therefore got sent to the nurse, therefore got sent home. So
Because the child coughed?
of course,
Wow.
people, right. So my question is, to what extent, if a child goes to school and sneezes 4 times, coughs, like what is a criteria in which a child would potentially say, either I'm not feeling well, or a teacher says, you should go see the nurse? Is the nurse able to, in each school, make a determination or a gut feeling that this is a common cold, this is allergies, this is dust mites, or this is COVID, or do they send the child straight home? Because I have heard stories where children have been sent home and been told they can't come back until they've tested negative. Again, I don't know this to be factually correct, but I'm asking you to clarify.
I would say this, we have 5 nurses in the district, 4 plus the nursing supervisor. And I think it really depends also on the level at the school and what we're dealing with, the approach. I don't want to speak necessarily for them, but things that they do is they take a temperature, they look at the child, they call home, they have a conversation with the parent. I mean, I would be hard pressed to think that somebody sneezed and the person was immediately told to go home. I see the principals looking. I don't know if they have anything to add. There are those things that we look for, like I said, fever, not feeling well, headache, and no one is just sent without having a conversation with the parent. Mr. Doak, you're shaking your head. Thank you.
Yeah, I could just say,
yeah.
I was going to say, what the nurse does is a clinical evaluation to determine whether the student can stay in school and be sent back to class or needs to be sent home.
Oh, and Lisa, just for the people listening, if there will be any, if a student is tests positive and they have to quarantine for 10 days, how do they stay on top of schoolwork?
They may Zoom, or it's not Zoom, they may access their classes online. Google Meet. Yeah. Thank you, Julie.
Lisa?
Okay. Thank you.
Melissa.
Yes. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. I was just wondering, too, I'm hearing from some of the parents, if the teacher is positive, are we communicating that information to the class, to the parents?
No, that's very tricky.
Yes,
We communicate the very best we can. At the same time, we have to respect people's privacy. I wouldn't call up and say, Melissa, I'm sorry, your daughter was exposed. Her teacher, Phil Cross, tested positive for COVID. We would not say that. A person, a member of the community, that kind of language is used. Then of course, then the teacher's not there. So people reach their own conclusion, if you will.
Okay, thanks.
Any other? Unfortunately, this is going to be an ongoing topic of conversation for a few more months.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, Tracy, you have your hands full. Administrators, you all have your hands full. And we know that there is just a lot of extra attention that these kids need, and a lot of acting out and everything else that's happening as a result of having missed 18, a year effectively of school, especially in the higher grades. And we just thank you and let us know what we can do to help.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You want to move on to security update? Not sure what we can say, but I would summarize it, Lisa, in terms of.
I guess I would say that, clearly the safety of our students and staff is paramount in the district, and being able to assess threats. The most important thing is to make sure that our staff knows how to respond in different scenarios. And, we as an administrative team take this very seriously. There are meetings. We recently had a meeting, the entire team, that was scheduled before the the horrific incident in Michigan. We have plans, we have protocols, excellent relationship with the Weston Police. We will be having more of a district town, if you will, representative meeting in January. We do drills all of the time. We're very hard on ourselves when we debrief after each drill, but I think Phil Cross said it well. The bottom line is that what needs to happen happens, and that's very important when we practice our drills and protocols. That doesn't mean that we still might not have some requests that come up in the upcoming budget, specifically about safety and security. But as I said, we take it very seriously. We don't disclose a great deal of our plans, quite frankly, because we are trying to keep our district and our schools secure.
Great. And just so you know, we had an executive session before our public meeting on the topic on safety and security, which included members of our police force to really go through our safety and security procedures, both during school hours as well as after school hours. So there's more to come, but you know, I can't agree with Lisa more on this topic, which is this is the most important thing that we as a board and administration need to constantly be vigilant about, which is the safety and security of all of our students and staff. You know, and we do not really talk in public about our safety and security procedures and how we harden our facilities and how we monitor our facilities. But rest assured, this is something that's top of mind by the administration.
Thank you, Tony. Budget update. Shall I keep going?
Sure.
So we have been working diligently on the budget, being true to the mission of our school district and really analyzing the academic return on investment of everything, quite frankly, everything that we look at. And I want to thank the administrative team, both at the building and central office levels, as we go along through this. The budget will be presented, mark your calendars, Thursday, January 6th at 7 p.m. That is a Thursday. So I would say stay tuned. It's a work in progress. Mr. Cross, we're almost there, aren't we?
We're almost there, but it's a work in progress.
Yes.
So just a little bit on, so we should be getting our budget books on the 3rd of January?
That's correct.
Okay. And just a logistics, we just have to figure out how we get them. I'm assuming like last year, board members will pick it up.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah, okay. On the 3rd, just so as we get close to that date, just let everyone know where we need to go and pick up the budget books. Then we'll have, we'll have a few days to study it as individual board members before the formal presentation on the 6th. And then we have a number of meetings in the calendar to deliberate over the budget. Yeah, lots of fun ahead after the holidays.
At this point, I'd like to excuse the principals. They are real troopers, so thank you. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
And have a wonderful, restful, peaceful holiday.
Healthy.
And healthy. And yeah, come back all healthy and energized for the budget. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do and have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you.
So any committee, anything from the committee chairs? No. Well, we had our first meeting of the Combined Facilities, Finance and Operations Committee, which was a success. really efficient in putting both of those meetings together. The only thing that came out of that, really, I think, and out of the whole facilities optimization committee, is that I think that we are well placed to probably have an update from our consultants, Tecton, at the monthly board meeting in January about where we are. I think there's been a lot of work that has been started now with Tecton working with Lisa, the administration, and the staff in terms of really understanding how we use our facilities and what our needs are for the future. And so I think that I think January is, we're thinking of having another community conversation probably in February. So I think the board meeting in January, while it's in the middle of the budget process, is probably a good time to have Tecton come in and do a bit of a presentation on where they are in the process. Lisa, don't you have anything to say on that at all?
One thing I would say is that we met as an administrative team with Tecton. That was very helpful. We got the feedback from the students, and we also have two groups, what I call a think tank for the teachers that will be at the K5 level, and then also looking at 5-8, because there's some different grade configurations that are part of our options. And we think that it's important that the teachers that have lived those options, whether it be here in Weston or in other districts, share some of the pros and cons. And they will be taking place, I believe it's January 13th and January 18th. I have to say that Jeff and Antonia from Tecton have been great about speaking to us about our perspective as educators.
Yeah, and I think the 18th would be a good conversation to have, because at that point there'll be a few conversations about those transitions, and that's an important topic of conversation. Okay, great. Anything? I think that's the end of our agenda here. Anything else from any of the board members?
I have a real quick question about the communication committee.
Yeah.
Who are the members? Because we get to meet, the prize of the communication committee is we get to meet the morning after every regular Board of Ed meeting. So whether we go till 10 o'clock at night or 7:51. So for tomorrow morning, who is on the communication committee? I think we only have 2 people now.
I'm on there with you.
And I think it might be just you and me now, Sharon.
Just the 2 of us?
I used to be on it and then I'm not, but am I back on, Tony?
I think you are.
Okay.
I was just policy and curriculum for this year, but that's.
Are you policy?
As of January, I think I'm now on communications.
Are you still policy, Taffy?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Oh, Melissa, goodbye. I'm not.
No.
I wish you were, Taffy. I miss you, but I
Good.
think
So I'm communications. Yes, I'll be there, David.
Yeah, you are. I'm looking.
Yep. And we should move that so that it's not right after the monthly board meeting.
We definitely should look into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe we could start meeting over cocktails or something. Just a thought.
A little early in the morning, but sure.
Okay. Just
All
kidding,
right.
everybody.
I think, yeah. Any more chit chatting? No?
I think that's it.
Okay. All right, with that, thank you. Yeah, this is the last meeting before the holiday break. So everyone have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy the time with your families.
Do we move to adjourn or do we just adjourn?
We have to move. We have to move to adjourn and have everyone have a happy holiday and a happy new year.
You too, Tony.
Same to you, Tony.
All right. And so can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Great. That's it. Meeting adjourned.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.